Hello and welcome. My name is Gary McGuey, high school practice leader for the Leader Me. We're extremely excited to be launching our very first team leadership series entitled QuaranTEENed. Today's discussion is around peer mentoring. Our facilitator today, Simply Divine. Divine?
Hey everybody, so today we're going to be talking about peer mentoring and how important it is to have connections, especially during this time where we're coming out of quarantine and just coming back with connections and people who may be mentors to you or you mentor them. And so my first question for everybody is, who is somebody you look up to or consider a mentor?
Well, I look up to my brother. Sorry, Dylan, but I look up to my brother, my third oldest brother. He always has a positive attitude about everything, and I think that I like to try to look at life like that because no matter what is thrown at him, no matter what happens, he always looks at the bright side, and he doesn't complain and takes what he has and makes something out of it. And I want to be that person because it makes everyone around him happy. So I will light up the room when I walk in too.
For me, I know it's kind of cliche, but of course my parents, they always taught me just work and work hard. So I've really taken that to heart in everything I do, with whether it's in the classroom or out in the sport. Just work hard in everything that you do. And then also my coach, he does a lot of good stuff in the community. He helps the youth. So I really look up to that, and I really want to do that when I get older as well. Just help the community, make it a better place as well.
For me, it'd probably be my, because he's not only my dad, but he's also my coach. So he pushes me to my limit, and then he knows what's best for me though, to be successful. And also just in softball too, he pushes me to talk to college coaches and talk to my coach when I really don't want to. And he just makes sure I'm going to be a good person, and just seeing how hard he works and how he wants everyone to be happy and to meet their best potential is something I really look up to.
I think that a mentor not only is a role model, but it's also someone that pushes you to do better. And so I feel like usually we think of people that are older than us, but for me, I feel like my mentors are just my friends. The people you surround yourself with are the people that you're going to be like. And so my peers are my mentors in a way, because those are the people that are going to push me to my goals, and the people that I spend the most time with is the person that I'm going to become, I guess, or the people I'm surrounded by is how I'm going to, my actions are going to be based on the people that I hang out with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's so important. I know for me, I have so many different mentors in just different parts of my life. I mean, I have athletic mentors, academic mentors, spiritual, even people I follow on Instagram because I like how they dress. So I was going to ask what characteristics they have, but I think it's important to mention how whenever you said who your mentors are, you listed their characteristics. And a lot of those were principles that they follow or things that they do. And that's really important to mention, especially as leaders, how we're considered as mentors to other people. So would you consider yourself a mentor to anybody, and who would it be?
I think when I think about being a mentor, I think about making sure that you're having a positive influence on someone else. I think when I think about my mentors, that's what I look for. A role model is someone who is positively impacting my life, and is someone who I want to model their behavior. But also I know that you have to recognize the fact that sometimes you're a role model for other people. So I know, this is a funny story. Once, I was at the movie theater, and someone who plays on our middle school soccer team recognized me, and I had no idea who this kid was, but he was like, "Hey, you play center back for the varsity team, don't you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do," and whatever. And he was like, "Well, you're really good, thanks." And I was like, "You're really good," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I had no idea who this kid was, other than the fact he went to the middle school and he came to watch our games. But that's someone who I impacted somehow, who I had no idea that I had an influence on, even if it was just a minimal amount. And so you have to be able to recognize your influence and how you're being a role model for others. And so, yes, I definitely think that even though we're young, we're also role models for people. We need to recognize that some people look up to us.
For me, I think I'm definitely a role model to the younger kids in my school, especially like for the sports I do, like in softball. The younger classmen, they look up to me, especially as I'm going to be a senior, and I've also been on varsity for a good amount of time. So that, and then also just my younger friends that I've known since I was like little, and they like seen me go through high school and like how I have made my friends and like how I surround myself with good people. And then also my little cousins, because they look at everything I do. So yeah.
I think that like it's important to realize that some people that you're role models to, like, they might not even know who you are because the social media plays such a big impact on it. Like, I feel like social media, I mean, in a way, it like portrays who you are. I mean, obviously it's not like totally you, but like it's almost like you have to practice what you preach. Like, just because it's on a spam post doesn't mean that a little girl won't see it. And like, for me, I feel like that's just something very important because like I babysit and the kids know who I am, and then, you know, they tell their kids, or that they don't have kids, like the kids that they hang out with, and you know what I'm saying. And so then like when little girls will come over to their house, they'll be like, oh, I saw your Instagram picture, and I'll be like, whoa, like I didn't know you looked at that, but like thanks, I guess, for the like, the follow, whatever. But like little things like that, like I just have to remember, like the things that I post, little children will see and adults will see. Is that some way that I want to represent myself?
I think with what you're saying about social media, there's so many people that aren't even in our close friend groups that we influence and we don't even know who they are. Like Brayden said, with the guy who saw him play soccer, or just through your Instagram. And so how do you feel about how you're impacting those who aren't in your close circle, who you don't get to talk to every day? Do you think that, well, is there something we can do now to be a good role model to them?
I like that question, Divine, because like there's a quote by Maya Angelou, and she said that people will forget, you know, what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. You know, and I think that really rings true because like actions do speak louder than words, and you have to practice what you preach. But when actions and words like fail, if you made someone smile, they won't forget that, even if you haven't seen them in a really long time, you know? And so it's about the lasting impact you can have on somebody. And that's why we have to be really intentional with like every interaction you have with somebody, because it's really easy. Maybe like even if you're having like a bad day, it's easy to like be negative. And maybe like you said, like one small comment to somebody, but that might have hurt their feelings or something. And so you have to be really careful with what you're saying and how you're acting with people to make sure that every interaction you have with someone is a positive one and will ultimately lead to like to a better relationship.
I think like I had said this earlier, but like in my school, I don't see a lot of people, but I know they know who I am. So I always make sure I'm presenting myself to be how I was raised to be, I guess you could say, like respectful, responsible, honest, and like just all around nice, like a nice person, and just someone you want to be around, you know? So, yeah.
Well, as we're closing up, I wanted to ask if there's anything you all have been doing that we can challenge the viewers to do. I know that for me, with personal people that I've lost connections with because of everything that's going on, we don't see each other at school anymore, or maybe we just haven't talked in a while. If there's any way you can reach out to them and still show them that you care, even to your role models, just let them know that they've impacted you in any way. I know personally, if I think of them, I'll just like send them a text to let them know I'm thinking about them. Or if I see something that reminds me of them, like a TikTok, I'll send it to them, stuff like that. So what can we do to challenge the viewers to be able to impact the relationships that they have that maybe they've not neglected but haven't spoken to that person in a while?
I would say definitely reach out, like even like in the simplest way, either like send them a funny TikTok, or like just say like, hey, how are you doing? How's quarantine going? I'm thinking about you, just making sure you're safe, and you know, and maybe it'll start a conversation. But yeah.
I think invite them to a picnic. That just seems like so intentional. Like, I feel like intentional ways of trying to like spend time with someone means so much. Like, and how we were talking about like making someone feel like it's an action, but also it's just like the time that you put into like preparing a picnic and finding a place. Like, it's just like, it's like heartfelt and like good, and it's like cute and it's fun, and it makes good pictures.
Okay, well, I want to invite Mr. McGuey back to the conversation, and we can end it.
Thank you, everybody. Once again, I just like to sit back and just listen and process everything that you're saying. And a few things that I heard, just to reiterate, I heard, the 4 people you hang out with the most, that's who you become, right? So the importance of hanging out with the right people, and also make sure you're that right person as well. Talking about what Hannah was talking about, just be a good person. There's really, it's not a secret. The keys to success are 2 words: character and contribution. Be a good person and do for others. Very simple. The potential of social media could be a great platform for mentoring, right? And how you're talking about actions speak louder than words. I've said this over the years, that people will follow our footsteps much quicker than our advice, right? So really, we're walking our talk. And then the last piece, and you just make it sound so simple, but just to reach out and make these connections. It's critical to continually reach out. I think maybe make deliberate connections. So thanks for your wisdom. I hope people will listen and think about this moving forward for themselves here. And we'll see everybody next week. Thanks so much. Stay safe. See you soon.